Hey guys, how's it going? Getting ready to take a nap, believe it or not. I gotta apply for work. Which is not a bad thing, it'll be fun. I remember, like a long time ago, a friend of mine, African American, really sweetheart type of girl, gave me a jacket. She gave me this great corduroy jacket. And, I was kind of blown away when I saw the same jacket in a movie. And, I always wondered, it was kind of enchanting at the time. It was an enchanting event. Um, that kind of enchantment has taken its toll and worn off, become an attack, perception of an attack anyway. A big one, actually. I was thinking about Stephen Hawking. I used to Stephen's life became a means by which for me to kind of get a grip, is to keep it together. Um, John Nash and Stephen Hawking and so many other people were always looking for the dominant algorithm that ruled the movement of all things. And I went and discovered it by playing in my yard. It's not really an algorithm. It's an old science, very, very old science, that I've been explaining to you, and you've been making fun of me. These are acclaimed scientists, and they're calling me a witch. These men, these amazing individuals, each one with their unique gifts, were trying to figure out, how things were combined, how things um, how animals went from point A to point B. Is there a means by which to predict how they would move? Is there a means by which to predict strategies? Because it's actually in the end game, it is a means by which to predict strategies. That power exists in an ancient practice called dowsing. How does that work? Well, in dowsing, specifically, usually a person you take two sticks, right? And you walk around and you get water. That is the master of the prediction algorithm of all life in the universe and most of the elements and molecules in our universe. That simple act and its effect on the biological organism. These are the reason that exists is for the survival of organic species. And it is also a force that creates more water for more survival of organic species, and it even generates primordial ooze, which in turn creates these survival lines, which are mostly geared towards finding water in different types of concentrations or in different type of chemical compounds for nourishment or whatever the case may be. These survival lines that I've been mentioning to you are always all around us, formed by the planets and formed by the powers, the forces that cause a planet to orbit a sun, that cause a planet to have a specific rotation. In fact, these are forces that generate rotations in planets. These are extraordinary forces, and each one exerting force on surrounding planetary, galactic, or universal bodies. These forces that they exert aren't just what we measure in regards to when we think of, usually when a scientist measures the forces of a planet, the intent is to go travel there. So they'll measure all of the aspects between Earth and whatever in order to travel there, and they never in that mathematical calculation exists the gravitational cascade and whatnot. What scientists have not really been taking into consideration is our new modern technology and how it's explaining the universe to us, to common people like me, although I am a scientist and I'm trying to get my Nobel, which would be great, because I really do need a hot dog, you know what I mean? But, like, when a planet eclipses the sun and the lensing processes, or the lensing effects of gravitational fields in a planet, or the different planets' temperatures, or the materials that actually circulate within a planet. I mean, you're not, it's so incredibly complex. I can't, like, for example, you're talking about in science, it's 100,000 light years. A Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years. And you have blue suns, and you have red suns, and we have purple suns, things in a deep UV range with an extraordinarily wide, broad effect and ability to penetrate even deeper. Now, red suns are the ones that are supposed to be going the furthest, but I'm thinking that UV sun can do some good stuff. Now, let's go ahead and let's align a planet to a red sun, right? We're talking in long wave. What's in the atmosphere of that planet? Well, when you're thinking about on Earth, you've got aluminum and bacteria and bad breath and carbon monoxide and all these different molecular composites, and occasionally you get a muon, or you get a different particle, you get different subatomic particles and whatnot. Now, I want you to see this planet. I want you to see this planet in front of the sun, right? You have a sun here, and then you have a flare, and it's going through the atmosphere of this planet. Whatever planet it may be that might even contain water. Where am I going with this garbage? I mean, of course, I've already talked about the circles that come from the planet. Of course, you have the flares, you have, depending on the rotation and whatnot, what amount of rotation and water, and you get these different types of flares, which end up generating markings on every single planet that light touches. Now, there is a secondary, far more interesting event taking place when that's going on, which is the atoms in the atmospheres. Now, you have the atoms and you have the molecules. Now, what happens when a beam of light, like that's a broad beam of light, I'm not saying this is a threat because it's not. It's not. Broad beam of light strikes an atom, and it creates an outline of this particular atom. It might even be able to capture the image of the electrons and sends it hurtling through space. Now, this is a brand new field of research for scientists, because that atom should show up as a solar system. The size of it should be large enough to be even bigger than a solar system by the time it reaches something close to us. What kind of ionic, matter-based, or even gravitational effects does something like that generate? What are the effects of something so simple as a light on a planet with water and atoms of garbage and crap floating around in it? Are these the creators? Or is this sun, is this particular fusion generator one of the creators of the universe, one of the creators of solar systems, the forces that generate solar systems? Is it possible that it actually generates propulsion? Magnetism. I mean, we're talking about something like that can even generate a piezoelectric effect in its impact. So you have that going on, and then you have a magnetic field, a very weak one, but it's already creating an ordered magnetic field based on the structure of an atom hundreds of millions of light years away. What can something like that do? Okay, so now that I've completely digressed from the original, allegedly, now suddenly the lights are coming on. You mean to tell me that these forces on the planet are also the remnants of atoms on other planets that impact survival on our own planet, impact the way organic life navigates on the surface of the planet? And the answer is a resounding yes. And then you have planets doing this. You have magnetic. The planet's core is made out of nickel and ferrite. These and lots and lots and lots of materials on this planet are made of ferrite. So you have these impacts going on, and you have, it's just constant. It's a little bit of heat, it's a little bit of an edge. Even a slightest cut generates a polarity in ferrite. Just change the shape of ferrite even so slightly. It changes the ferrite itself. Or even for neodymium. It's enormous. But these particular forces, you will never ever have the entire algorithm. Well, maybe somebody might already have started the process. But for how life moves and how, how, let's say, this, like a rat, will eventually end up in the center of my floor on such and such a date based on celestial planetary magnetism, as well as pretty much as planetary magnetism, planetary gravity and celestial gravity, gravitational effects, light sources. I mean, just flashlights, just flashlights in the universe. And you can actually navigate these lines on your own. You can discover these things on your own just by going out in your yard and relaxing your body into the differing magnetic fields that exist there. And you can actually find planets by doing that are on the other side of the planet, or have that are in orbit somewhere in the universe. Now, carbon dating these things is a different story altogether, to determine when the impact took place or when this force actually showed up on our planet. But these are the masters. These magnetic lines generated by celestial objects are the masters of our existence as a whole, as well as the weather. They control the weather. They control plant growth. They control. They can even control atomic bonding and molecular bonding for different chemistry that exists on Earth. Really is quite a discovery from dowsing. And we have the capacity to actually access these different types of chemistries that are water-based in the same dowsing. And our bodies are even tuned to this stuff. It is almost as if it was a universal intelligence. It's not. It's kind of weird. And one of these days, somebody's going to be able to define it. And by that point, we'll probably be the sun will be going red, and the planet will be drying up to a raisin, and somebody's going to go, "Oh, you won't believe what I found!" And we won't give a shit. But it's something there that should be discovered. Will it help armies, or will it help countries conquer? No. But it can help the common man defend themselves. It contains the strongest capabilities and the strongest medicine I've seen in a while. There is some really, really powerful medicine in this scientific knowledge, this type of science that comes from dowsing. It is a horrible shame that I can't share this with John Nash or Stephen Hawking, because they would have gone gaga over this crap. It's like total witchcraft, because I am dancing, but what's happening is I let myself be carried off by the energy fields of these different celestial bodies and celestial events and celestial representations that managed to find themselves on the surface of our planet, that actually made it here. And some of them are still ongoing. It's as if the connection never stops, as if these particular celestial bodies are continuously affecting, as if it's an actual communications network, which I've mentioned before, as if this is faster than light. I can't even begin to tell you, in its own predictability factor of being able to, if you can extrapolate certain amounts of, like, for example, the type of biochemistry that our mouse has. And you can extrapolate based on what kind of chemistry is around it, and how what's tuned into one specific area of the planet, or what specific survival line. You will be able to at one point in time extrapolate where this mouse is going to end up here. Well, what if that's a communication system to where the communicator, all right, knows that when you see that when it sends a red light, let's say it sends like a red speck. Right, we've all seen this crap before, so don't even lie to me. The communicator sends a red speck, and it knows that at a certain point in time you will see a red speck, and then sends a series of other communications as a response to what it knows you will already perceive by the time you perceive it. Does it make any sense? Anyway, yeah, and then kind of calculate to where you will at one point want to respond, and provide enough responses to where you can send a response back and have it be in a timely fashion. Anyway, enough of my weird jabberwocky, but I would have loved to have shared this, because all these scientists were chasing after this so much, and I found it. I found it. I just found it. It's kind of like me seeing this finding Uluru and whatnot on Google Earth, and because I really had been studying the black cap lories and these lorikeets for their fantastic mutations for 4 years before they led me to my discovery of Pangaea. And now I've discovered this stuff that all these scientists have died for looking for. The theory of everything, as Hawking put it. It's a huge mathematical algorithm here. This isn't a small puppy. This is a big mother. It's as if each circle is its own mathematical formula. In each one has its own gravitational field, a magnetic field. You can align your spine to it and kind of get a feel for it. I mean, it has its own forces, as if it has the forces of the planet mirrored onto the surface of our own, based on the distance that this particular celestial object has. So this would be kind of the force this celestial object would have right at the point that it's at the surface of our planet, if that makes any sense. That's how it is in my mind, but probably mathematically I'm way off. But that's what it feels like. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll find one, kind of dance around a little bit, loosen up, and kind of feel the energies all around me, and let me get myself be carried off by a circle. And when they're bigger, the force towards the center is enormous. I can feel it yanking me down. And then when I go towards the outside of the particular spherical object in question, I speed up a lot, especially if if there's a good piece of music, I guess, playing. I don't know if it makes any sense. It just carries me off. It's intelligent. I'm not the one doing that. This celestial event is doing this for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm music on a tape player, as if this is like I'm a track on a tape, and what I'm listening to when I'm listening to music, it's an accompaniment that actually carries me off with it, and it actually it creates an accompaniment to what I'm experiencing with the planet. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I can't. You're gonna have to experience it for yourself. I'm sorry. So maybe I can find a mathematician and go horse around with the planet. and tell me, what the fuck is that? I'm still blown away. But yeah, it's as if it's, let's say these circles, let's say these planetary circles are binary. All right, so let's say this particular circle here is completely made out of binary, and I've gone around in that one, and it intersects with a secondary circle from another celestial object. It's entirely binary. Now, the binary code could be comprised simply of the amount of force exerted by that particular celestial object's remnants on the surface of our planet. So a binary sequence that defines its strength would be a best way to start organizing the process of creating the algorithm, the organizational process of defining these forces that I've discovered that actually run everything, as well as their gravitational pull, because they literally can. See, you have a circle here. I can sit there and be dancing, and when I'm being pulled by the energy, and it grabs me, and then it whips me around as if it was the gravitational field of a planet, and it tries to throw me into a second one. It's really incredible. But I think, like, in my mind, I see it as being a binary sequence, a set of binary numbers in order to define strength, maybe even define animal species affected based on their biochemistry and whatnot, in order to be able to organize this, because it's huge. It's just huge. Yeah, there's billions of them. And I think a lot of them are impacts on our planetary core, which do affect gravity as well on the surface. But I have my disk experiment going on, and what's ended up happening is I went ahead and I was doing my dance, just enjoying the energies and the flow and the different species, because sometimes you can actually almost sense the species. Your sense of smell changes. I ended up figuring out how to get a plant to breathe at me. I walked up to a plant. This is something you can do any day of the week, just so you can understand how complex this is. Anyway, it kind of taught me this, believe it or not. Go up to a plant and I go like this, and I'm thinking about the plant and I'm loving the plant. And I have an extension of the plant, let's say, right? Like a branch of the plant this way. Take my hand, go around the plant, and feel a little love for the plant. Do it a couple times, and you'll be able to. The plant will exhale, and it releases a chemical, and it smells so good. It's as if the plant is flirting with me. It's absolutely stunning. But yeah, it's the same principle with these circles. Now, taking that plant thing, the plant experience in mind in regards to plant life on the planet, I've got my experiment going on. What ended up happening is the discs are made out of silver, and it's just a common. Some of them are DVDs and some of them are CDs. And these are like increments of like maybe a few millimeters of spherical etchings that go towards the center. So what ended up happening is the sun's shining through, and they're somewhat see-through, so it does act like a filter. And I let myself kind of dance around them, and I found myself creating an elliptical movement. Like, what the hell is this? And it was really fast. I mean, it almost knocked me to the ground. And I kind of shook it off, and I walked away for a second, and it kind of pulled me back. And I did it again, and it kept pulling me in. It was 3 elliptical orbits. I'm like, oh, what kind of planet does that crap? And I realized it was the result of the sun reflecting, going through my discs, through the filter to the ground. It was a location where the sun would frequently shine through my discs. And I realized, that's when I started realizing about the celestial objects and whatnot. It became a little bit more clearer. But there's nothing towards the middle of the discs. I don't feel a pull. I don't feel any energy that takes me around the the third, fourth, or fifth, or sixth rungs, I guess you could say, of the actual disc etchings. So I don't know what that means, but just it's just an educational piece for it, maybe, or maybe it's something bigger than I'm aware of. Anyway, that's it. Have a wonderful day, and I'm going to do the old lady thing and take a nap. Love you guys. Mwah.